introduction. It's my first one ever in my life. I've never been introduced like that. I guess this is what happens when you open up for Rabbi side. My apologies in advance for the rabbi not being here on time. He got held up with something obviously extremely important in Boca. So allow me to entertain you with for the next few minutes with some divrei Torah. I'm going to pull my best chidushim that I have, my favorite ones that I have. So hopefully it'll be worthwhile. So like that, time will go just like that, and like that you won't feel it, and the rabbi will be here, and all's well that ends well. I just want you to know that when I did meet him 10 years ago, he didn't look like that.
Improvements for the best.
Wow. I'm very proud of you. This week's parasha, it says, we have the brothers. We have Esav and we have Yaakov. Last time, the day we left him off, Esav says in his heart, wait till daddy dies, I'm going to kill you. Wait till Abba passes away, I'm going to murder you. And he ran away from that. Fast forward to 20 years later, now they're about to get together. Yaakov thinks, how do you go back to a brother that wants to murder you? Like, what possible message could you do? Could you give him? So it says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav. It says that he sent malachim lefanav. By the way, the Midrash says, don't read Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav, ela lepanav. What did he do? He says that Yaakov sent angels to Panav. You know, God's holy throne, 𝐸 �ك𝐻, has 4 images on it. It has the image of a lion, of an eagle, of an ox, and of a human being. And the face of the human being is what? They say that it's the face of Adam HaRishon. And Shufrei of Adam HaRishon is Shufrei of Yaakov. So he says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim, not lefanav, lepanav. He tells the malachim, go upstairs, go to 𝐸 �ك𝐻, look at my face. Am I happy or am I sad? Is this a good mission or a bad mission? Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lepanav. He saw that he got a happy face. He saw that he got the approval. And he continued. And he says, Vayitzav otam, after he got the approval, he says, Lemor, ko temrun la'adoni le'esav. This is what you're going to say to my brother Esav. Ko amar avdecha Yaakov, im Lavan garti, vayechar ad ata. That I lived with Lavan, and now I've been lingered over there up until now. Wow. What a message. I lived with Lavan. Like, you think that the first time that he comes back to talk to his evil twin brother that wants to kill him, it'll be something a little bit juicier, a little bit more content, a little bit more impactful. Rashi reveals to us, by the way of Bereshit Rabbah, it says, you know why he says, Im Lavan garti? You know why he's letting him know that I lived with Lavan? The famous Rashi, the famous Bereshit Rabbah. Im Lavan harasha garti, v'taryag mitzvot shamarti. He says, I lived with Lavan harasha, and I kept, when I tell you the word garti, I'm hinting that I kept taryag mitzvot, 6:13. Why is this so mind-blowing once again? I don't get it. So, this is a beautiful, beautiful chidush that I heard this week for the first time. I'd like to share it with you. Esav is wicked. Lavan is a ramai. You know, there are 2 peas in the pod. These are 2 people that should get along together. They should partner up and open up a crooked business together. Esav had a big mitzvah of kabet avicha v'timecha. So much that he wanted to emulate his father. At what age did his father get married? 40. At the age of 40, Esav got married. The problem with the marriage of Esav is that Esav was a twin to Rivka. Rivka has a brother. His name is Lavan, and he also had twins. Those were called Rachel and Leah. And it was very well known שהגדול לגדולה והקטן לקטנה. That these twins right now, the big one, the older one is going to go with the older one, and the younger one is going to go with the younger one. Why? At 40 years old, you don't go and marry what everybody says. It's you marry within the family. You already have a shidduch. Why didn't you go there? You know why Esav didn't go to Lavan? He was scared. Esav, the wicked Esav, was scared of who? Lavan. Why? Lavan has a reputation that if you visit him, in one night, you don't come back, you don't wake up in the morning. You go, he tries to feed you food that is poisoned, or he kills you in your sleep and you never make it to the next morning. As a matter of fact, we remember this from the story of Eliezer. Remember, Eliezer went to get the shidduch for Yitzhak, and what happened over there? It's Eliezer, they give him the food. He says, no, I'm not going to touch any of this food until I tell you the story of what happened. Meanwhile, Malach Gabriel comes, switches the plate, and Betuel eats from that plate, and you never hear from Betuel in the parsha anymore because he died. So Esav says, no. I'm scared of Lavan. Another interesting thing why he was scared of Lavan. Lavan had a very special avodah zarah. What was the avodah zarah of Lavan? Trafim. What's trafim? Trafim is the head of a firstborn. But if you dig a little bit more about it, it's the head of a firstborn that's shrunken, but it has to be, there's a stipulation to it. It's the firstborn of a firstborn. That is the head of a firstborn of a firstborn. He cuts it off and it becomes an avodah zarah where he talks to him, it makes it move, all these different things. So Esav says, I'm a firstborn, and Yitzhak is a firstborn. If I'm going to go to Esav, what is he going to do? If I go to Lavan, what is he going to do? He's going to make me into his avodah zarah. He's going to chop off my head. I'm a firstborn of a firstborn. I'm going to go there. No, thank you. Furthermore, we see that Yaakov makes his way to Lavan, and this is Yaakov running away from Esav. Why didn't Esav run after Yaakov? They said his father's dead. Go finish the mission. You said you're going to murder your own brother. You know what he said? Lavan got this one. I don't need to do the job. If he's going to Lavan, he's going to take care of it. So here comes this hostile environment called Lavan's house, and Yaakov comes and he tells the malachim to tell his brothers, tell him, Im Lavan garti. He says, I lived with Lavan, you know for how long? 20 years. You want to mess with me? 20 years I'm with the Ramai. 20 years I'm with Lavan. I'm coming back a different person. Each time Yoshev Ohalim, but I'm around the block now. I know, I've been around the block. I've lived with somebody that you're scared of. It's a different approach, different look at looking at Yaakov. As a matter of fact, when we see this, is there a Perek Tehillim over here? A book of Tehillim that I can get? We see that this image of Yaakov, Ish Tam Yoshev Ohalim, this wholesome child, this wholesome boy, this wholesome man, that all he wants to do is just learn Torah. All he wants to do is just be good. But yet we see, if you look at it as pshat, and this is anybody who's like a Baal Tshuva, you ever sit with a guy with a Baal Tshuva? Right away they tell you, why is Yaakov a crook? A crook? It says, Natati emet le Yaakov, chesed le Avraham. There's no such thing. Yaakov is 100% truth, 100% emet. No such thing. He lied to his brother. He lied to his father. What did he say to his father? Ani Esav bechorecha. Right? He said he was straight out. Not only that, he lived with a crook like Lavan. That in last week's parasha he tells him, why lama ganafta oti? Why did you steal my heart, steal my mind? Why did you cheat me? The crook is telling the Ishtam Yoshev Ali, why did you cheat me? How could that be? And we see over here that Yaakov, more and more, the more we look into him, we see that he's always shrouded in this cloudiness of it's not clear. Is he 100% pure? He's 100% emet. Is he not? Is he not? Because all the Pesukim usually use like harsh words. Ramai, Ganav, Shakran. Why would we have these words connected to Yaakov Avinu? So very interesting. I want to put a scenario in front of you. let's say that the Rosh Yeshiva's brother comes to visit him. You're coming to a yeshiva, and you're walking, and you see the Rosh Yeshiva hugging his brother goodbye. And as his brother is walking away, comes this crazy Arab terrorist, and he tells you, "Did you see the Rosh Yeshiva's brother? Which way did he go?" Now, if you're an Ish Emet, do you have to tell him the truth? Because if I say I don't know, I'm lying, right? Am I a liar by not telling where to go? If I'm an Ish Emet, I'm 100% true. Somebody asks me a question, my answer is going to be a lie. Is that okay or is that wrong? What? Pikuach nefesh, meaning what? That because of we change. Because his life is in danger, we can lie. We can say not the truth. It's okay. It's okay if you can say that. The point is what? If we want absolute truth, right? We want black and white, right, wrong. We want an absolute truth. When we get in a situation like that where you have to say, somebody's asking you a question, a simple question, did the Rosh Yeshiva's brother go that way? And you know the answer is yes, and you say no. Are you now a liar? You're an Ish Emet, but are you a liar? So technically is what? Technically the answer is yes. But in real life, we see that, wait, by me saying no, I'm actually doing the right thing. So could you lie and do the right thing at the same time? The answer is yes. A Perek in Tehillim teaches us that. It says, I believe in Perek 𝐸 if I'm not mistaken. It says, when you're dealing with certain people, you have to mimic them. You have to deal with them. It says, Im Hasid, titchasad. Im Navar, meaning what? If he's a Hasid, be like him. If he's a Navar, if somebody's looking for the truth, levarer, be like him. But what is the next one that it says? Help me out, what is it? Imikesh titpatal. That is talking about Lavan. Lavan was what? How do you beat Lavan? How do you live with Lavan for 20 years and come out clean and still v'taryag mitzvot shamarti? How can you be 100% kosher after being 20 years with a convict? 20 years with somebody who has completely his entire, it says over there that he changed his deals with him 100 times fold. I'm a businessman, I'll tell you. Somebody changes their deal on me one time, that's it, I got bad taste in my mouth. Second time, that's it, I turn my back. Third time, you have to be an angel, and the deal has to be the sweetest deal in the world for you to get my attention again. 100 times? How can you do that? How can you come back 100 times to somebody who's cheating you? It's impossible. How do you deal with somebody like that? And how do you deal with somebody like that and come out squeaky clean? You have to be like them. You have to act like them. You have to beat them at their own game. Is that kosher? Is that kosher? If somebody's coming to cheat you, is it okay for you to cheat them first? Or to play defense? Two lefts make a right, though. 100%. Two wrongs will make a right. So how did Yaakov do it? How did Yaakov survive? It's a very, very deep concept that I don't believe I have enough time to unfold it. I just wanted to tantalize your mind, just to make you think about things, that we're in a world that we like absolute truth. Black, white, right, wrong, holy, tameh. You know, we love to have the black and white. But in reality, it's showing us that in a Jewish life, you can have black and white. But when you're dealing with the Goyim, there's a huge gray area. And it's not because that's from us. It's from them. Because Yeminam, Yemin Sheker. The rabbi touched a little bit on the war. I don't like to talk so much about the war. We've done it a lot. But, you know, you can't read the Nevi'im. You can't read the prophecies that we have that basically 98% of all the prophecies are all checked off. There's literally just a handful that are left over, and they're all true, and they're all saying that eventually our friends, America is going to turn on the Jews. Right now, it's America against Esav against Ishmael, Edom versus Ishmael. The Nevuot say that later on, Esav and Ishmael are going to team up together. What are you going to do? So weren't you my friend? Didn't you show me one face and now you're going to take off the face and show me something that you're other? You have to know this, that when you deal with Jews, it's one thing. When you deal with Gentiles, it's another. It's a hard lesson to learn, but that's what's going on over here. That's what's going on in this pasuk. That's what this pasuk is showing us. How did Yaakov do it with Lavan? There's a gray area. And that gray area is a very, very difficult area to navigate. You have to go deep, deep into laws, deep into Musar, deep into your Yiddishkeit to know how to navigate that. We're not saying that we're giving a green light to go cheat goyim. Chas v'shalom, that's a big Hilul Hashem. But when you know somebody's approach, you know how to play defense. And that's the lesson over here. Yaakov knew how to play defense on a Ramai. He knew how to get out of it. He knew how to make the kosher Jewish decision even when he was dealing with crooks. I want to talk now about his wives. There's another lesson over there. It says about Rachel. There's a pasuk in Yirmiyah that says, כה אמר Hashem, מנעי קולך מבכי ועינייך מדמעה, כי יש שכר לפעולתך. There's a pasuk in Yirmiyah that says, Hashem tells Rachel Imenu, stop crying, wipe your tears away. There is a reward to your actions. This is a very cryptic pasuk that can not only be understood in the context of the parashiyot that we're in right now, but also at the end of days, even today. Midrash Or Daniel says that the giving of the simanim that Rachel did to her sister was greater than the Akedat Yitzchak. How could that be? Akedat Yitzchak, the 10th test of Avraham Avinu, where Avraham was willing to shecht his own son from Sarai Imenu, the one that the progeny of Am Yisrael is supposed to come to, the full trust, Hashem, this is what you want me to do, that's what I'll do. And Yitzchak, who was willing to get tied up, who was willing to say, Hashem, Abba, tie me up real good, so I don't jerk, so I don't move, so I don't become pasul as an olah. That self-sacrifice, that till today, it's the opening scene of our tefillah in Shachrit. You open up the book, first thing that we say in our tefillah is what? Akedat Yitzchak. It's the no-limit credit card. We don't stop running it through. We don't stop running the credit of Akedat Yitzchak. Every single day, remind Hashem of the self-sacrifice of Yitzchak Avinu. Yet, it's nothing compared to the giving of the simanim of Rachel Imenu. How's that possible? Or Daniel says the test of Yitzchak and Avraham Avinu was a harsh one. But you know what? It was momentary. It was that moment. There's the knife. There's the son. There's the father. He's about to do it. The malach says, stop. It was a moment. It was dramatic. High dramatics. The giving of the signs of Rachel to Leah is that Yaakov chose Rachel. And he told her, I know that your father is a crook. And I want to marry you. And I want to have you as my wife. And he says, he tells her father, 𝐕'decha sheva shanim b'Rachel bitcha ketana. The Midrash says, why did he have to say Rachel? He says, this Rachel, another Rachel from the shuk. This Rachel, not different Rachel from the market. Why bitcha? Because maybe you're going to give me Leah and you're going to change her name. Leah, name change. Now you're Rachel. Bitcha, I'm sorry, not bitcha, ktana, the small one. So he went ahead and he did right away to give the details. Berachel, bitcha, ktana. By the way, why did he volunteer 7 years? Say, I'll work for a day, a week, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Why did he volunteer to work 7 years for Rachel? Beautiful. She was 5 years old. He needed to wait 7 years until she was married, in the age of marriage. Furthermore, it says over here that he told her, I know your father is going to cheat me, so I'm going to give you the signs. What were the signs? He told her, Chala, Nida, Hadlakat Haner. He says, these three things, when I marry you, I'm going to ask you for the password, the secret code, and you're going to tell me these three things, and I know it's you. Chala, Nida, Hadlakat Haner. By the way, that's Rashi Tevot China, Chet Nun Hey. The real China is not the Moroccan people dancing with the cookies on their head and putting like the mud on their hand. It's nice, it's a good party, but the real China is when you take a girl to the side and you tell her, hey, you're about to be a wife. You know what you do as a wife? Chala, Nida, Hadlakat Haner. You have to know how to have Hafashat Chala, you have to do family purity, and you have to light the Shabbat candles. That was the whole learning over there of the China. She knew that her father was going to trick Yaakov. He married Leah, the whole wedding in the dark. She gave her the signs. Chazal say, you know how difficult it was for Rachel Imenu to live in a house where she's second best, where Leah is the wife, where Yaakov proposed to her. Do you know how difficult it was to know that she gave her the signs and she doesn't even know that she gave it to her? So difficult that later on when she asked for when she saw, she was living in a reality where her sister has children, the maids have children, she's still barren, she has nothing. Reuven comes with the dudaim and she says, please give me the dudaim, I'll switch you my night with Yaakov for your dudaim. And her answer is, what? It's not enough that you stole my husband? You want my dudaim as well? At that moment, any regular human being would have just popped and tell, listen, sweetheart, let me tell you what's really going on over here. I am Rachel, I'm your sister, he's my husband, he proposed to me, father cheated me, I gave you the signs, you don't even know, you're disrespectful. In Hebrew they say she would give her shtifa, right? She would give her like all the way. She didn't do that. She was living with that nisayon on a daily basis, which is greater than having a nisayon for a moment. So much so that the Midrash says, I have to read you this Midrash, it's so powerful. It's so powerful, I want you to hear the words. Because it's nogea to our day-to-day life today. It says in Ptichta De'echa Rabbah, it says after the destruction of the first temple, I'm reading this by the way from Imre Noam, the book of 𝐸𝐫𝐫 𝐷𝐸𝐫 Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He's the father of Rabbi Yisrael. I can tell you, if you don't have this book, you're missing out on candy. These are Shabbat treats. You put this in your house every Shabbat, every in the afternoon and night. Mamash, sweet Torah. When you have a chance, pick one up. It's coming out in English soon, by the way. So it says in Echa Rabbah, after the destruction of the first temple, HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls Malachei HaSharet, and he tells them, Bo'u v'nelech ani v'atem, v'nireh beveti ma asu oivim bo. Imagine, after the destruction of the first temple, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the angels, let's go take a look what the enemy did to my house. Let's see what the enemy did to the Beit HaMikdash. Miyad alach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Malachei HaSharet v'Yirmiyah lefanav. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachei HaSharet, and the prophet Yirmiyah are walking together. And as soon as HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw Beit HaMikdash, he says, Bevadai zeu beti, vezeu menuchati, sheba'u oivim v'asu bo kitzam. Look what they did to my house. This is my house. This is where I was supposed to dwell. This is my resting place. And look what they did. They did it. They did as they wished to it. At that very moment, Hashem begins to cry. Oy li al beti, benai hechanatem, kohanai hechanatem, ohavai hechanatem, ma'aseh lachem, hetreti bachem velo chazartem b'tshuva. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Woe to me and to my home. My children, where are you? Kohanim, where are you? The people that love me, where are you? What should I do? I warned you, I warned you, I warned you, and I warned you, and you didn't do teshuvah. Come all the Avot HaKedoshim, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and they try to calm down HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they try to calm him down. I'm not going to go into detail in it, but it goes in the Charabah. It says, Abraham says, and he says, look at me and look what I did. The 10 nisyonot. I was willing to shacht my own son. Yitzchak says, I was looking at the Mesirut Nefesh. I was willing to get tied up. Yaakov says, look at all the troubles that I went through. Esav, Lavan, Dinah, Yosef. Everybody's trying to console God, like, oh, we've had harder situations than what you're going through. And he didn't want to get consoled. As a matter of fact, he'd even answer them. Comes Rachel Imenu, and she tells him, ריבונו של עולם, גלו לפניך שיעקב עבדך אהבני אהבה יתרה. You know that Yaakov loved me more than anybody else. ועבד בשבילי לאבא 7 שנים, and he worked for me 7 years with my crooked father. And when those 7 years were completed, and it was his time to come and marry me, my father switched my husband with switched me with my sister, and she married my husband. והוקשה עליי הדבר עד מאוד. It was such a difficult thing for me to experience. וסבלתי את אהבתי. I suffered. That was a suffering moment for me in life. וריחמתי על אחותי שלא תצא לחרפה. And I had mercy on my sister just so she won't be embarrassed. Rachel Imenu says, I'm willing to go through all this hardship, through these difficulties, just so my sister won't be embarrassed. ומסרתי לאחותי כל הסימנים שמסרתי לבעלי. He says, and I gave my sister all the signs, the chalad, the nidad, the הדלקת הנר, so he'll know that it was Rachel that he was talking to, so he'll be convinced that he's talking to Rachel. וגמלתי חסד עמה ולא קינאתי בה. And you know what? I did a chesed with her, an act of kindness with her, and I wasn't jealous. I wasn't jealous. ולא הוצאתי עליה חרפה, and I didn't call her out. I didn't embarrass her in public. And now she gives him the punchline. ומה אני, שאני בשר ודם, עפר ואפר, לא קינאתי לצרה שלי, ולא הוצאתיה לבושה ולחרפה. He says, me, that I'm made from flesh and blood, and I'm made from dust and ashes. I wasn't jealous that I brought another woman into my marriage. And when she came into my marriage, I didn't even embarrass her and I didn't chastise her. ואתה, מלך וקיים, רחמן, and you, the all-living God, the merciful God, מפני מה קינאת על עבודת כוכבים? What are you jealous of? The עבודת כוכבים, the statues? אין בה ממש. There's nothing in those statues. They're pieces of wood, they're pieces of clay. והגלית בניי ונהרגו בחרב ועשו אויבים בם כרצונם, and because of this statue in the Hechal, you killed my children. They were slaughtered by a sword, and the enemy did as they wanted with them. Miyad, immediately, right after that strong rebuke, not strong rebuke, strong statement from Rachel Imenu, Kadosh Baruch Hu becomes merciful, and he says, "Bishvilech Rachel, ani machzer Israel mikoman." Because of you, Rachel, I'm going to bring the Jewish people back to their land. And later on it says, in Yirmiyah, "Kama Hashem menei kolech mibechi, ve'enayich midima ki yesach lefolatech." Stop crying. Stop crying. There is a reward for your action. Because you gave the simanim, your children will come back to their land and they will live there freely. Is the giving of the simanim higher than Akedat Yitzchak? It seems for our generation, yes. Why? Obviously, look what we're going through. Look what we're going through with the war, with the displacement of the Jewish people in the diaspora. We're all over the world. And the few of us that are in Israel, they're fighting now with the Arabs. And the Arabs want the land. They want to annihilate us. Should we go, as their slogan goes, from the river and from the sea? And I'm not going to continue. But Hashem says, don't worry. Because of those simanim, I'm going to have your children come back to the land of Israel. And there is a reward for your action. So I ask you now, did you ever know or think or realize that the reason why we're going to live on the land of Israel free is because of 𝐸𝐴𝐻 𝐸𝐴𝐻? Did you ever know that? Midrash Rabbah reveals it to us. I want to share something else with you about this about the same incident. There's a Midrash Agadah that talks about the Dudaim. It says that Reuven went with his donkey to the field. And because he went with his donkey to the field, he tied him up to like a plant on the ground. When he came back, the donkey was dead. And the plant that he tied him up to was pulled out of the ground. That plant that was pulled out of the ground was the Dudaim. Let me give you some background about the Dudaim. The Dudaim in English are called mandrake. If you ever look them up on Google, you're going to see it's like a plant that has the shape of a human, right? It has like legs and an arm, and it looks like it's a person. For those of you who watch Harry Potter, if you ever saw the plants where they pull out the plant and it starts to give a big scream, ah, and they're able to kill somebody, that's from us. That's the Midrash, that's the Dudaim, because the Dudaim is a hybrid creature that's in between a plant, because it's a plant and a living thing. Meaning what? You have to imagine it that it has a thing that goes out from its belly button to the ground. That's where it gets its life. And its defense mechanism is that when you pull it out or when you attack it, it lets out a scream that's able to kill somebody. So Dudaim are very hard to come by, but if you get them, what's the segula? The segula that you could either eat them or put them in water and you can drink, and it makes women that are not able to have children have children. By the way, asterisk, not barren women, not akarot. Akarot, only Hashem has the key for that. Akara, that's only Hashem on Rosh Hashanah, on Rosh Hashanah, on Judgment Day, he decides whether a woman's going to have a child that year or not. The Dudaim is just for somebody who already gave birth. Now she's stuck and she needs something to get realigned. You drink the Dudaim and it helps it out. It's a segula, but not for a barren woman. So Reuven went to tie up his donkey, happened to be on a Dudaim plant. He went away. The donkey pulled out the plant. It yelled out, it screamed. It killed the donkey. He comes back. He sees Dudaim. He comes back. Ima, I have Dudaim. Rachel says, let me have them. Now, if Rachel is a prophet, if Rachel 𝐸𝐴𝐻, does she need Dudaim to get pregnant? Not only that, she is also akara. She knows that Dudaim is only for people that already gave birth. Why did she make such a big deal about give me the Dudaim so I can get pregnant, or I'll give you my night with Yaakov in exchange for these berries? Midrash Agadah says something incredible. Says Rachel 𝐸𝐴𝐻 knew everything. She also knew that on that night, this very special neshama that's supposed to come into this world, the neshama of the Torah learner, Issachar. And she knew that it didn't belong to her either, that it belonged to her sister. So in order for the Torah learner to come into the world, what did she do? She says, give me the Dudaim, I'll give you the night. If you take this pasuk that we just read, כה אמר השם מנעי קולך מבכי ונח מדמעה כי יש שכר לפעולתך. Don't read יש שכר כי יששכר לפעולתך. Because of Issachar, because of what you did with the Dudaim, who came into the world? Issachar, the Torah learner. Issachar, כי יש שכר, Issachar came into the world because of you. The Torah learner came into the world because of her. By the way, what's the beracha that Yaakov gave to Issachar? Issachar, hamor garem. Issachar, the donkey caused it. From this Midrash Haggadah, you can see it as well. Yisachar Hamor Gareb. There's a concept over here that we can't pass up. It's the concept of vitur. You know what's vitur? When you forego. What is it when you forego? When you're mevater. When you have the right to claim what is yours. You're holding the flag of justice. It's mine. I'm right. But you say, you know what? I'm willing to forego. I'm willing to mevater in order for her to have it. In order for him to have it. In order for them to have it. That vitur, you know what that vitur does? That vitur brings geula. Because we see that Rachel Imenu is the one that the Moshiach is going to come, that we're going to return to the land of Israel because of her. Any Ashkenazim in the room? How do you say, first of all, somebody who's mevater, right? Mevater, somebody who forgoes. How do you say it in Ashkenazi? Mevaser, right? He's a mevaser, right? How do we say in, is there a Siddur over here? How do we say in Havdalah? Rishon LeTzion Hineina veLYerushalayim mevaser eten. What's mevaser? The one that's going to give the announcement. Eliyahu Navi is going to be the mevaser, right? So I'm going to combine the mevaser of the Ashkenazim and the mevaser of the Geula. If you're going to be mevaser, then you're going to bring the mevaser. Did you get that? If you're going to be mevaser, you're going to bring the mevaser. Did you get that? It's a 50-50. You have to be half Ashkenazi, half Sephardi to get that. Furthermore, even though that it's very easy for us to see Rachel mevateret leLeah, can anybody give me an example of Leah mevateret leRachel? Somebody's calling in the answer. Look at this harsh reality. Leah has 6 boys. Bilhah and Zilpah, 2 and 2. There's only going to be 12 tribes. 6 plus 2 plus 2 is 10. Guess what? Leah is pregnant. If she's going to have a baby now, what happens? That means that her sister Rachel is going to have only 1 child. That means she's going to have only 1, less than the shfachot. Less than Bilhah, less than Zilpah. So what does she do? She starts to think. She says, no, I cannot embarrass my sister. I have to. She starts to make a din. She starts to say, make it like a din v'cheshbon. How can my sister have less than the shfachot? She says, you know what? The pregnancy is so early on, I can pray. You know what I can pray? For a sex change. I know that I have a boy right now. I can pray to make it a girl. And by the way, for the first 40 days of conception, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to pray for the gender of the baby. Anything after that is stam, you're doing it for nothing. I have a friend of mine, not a friend of mine, somebody in my family. The sonogram was girl. And the delivery is like Ben Zachar, it's going to be like, what are you doing? They showed it to you. He still believes, miracles can happen. By the way, when you ask for a miracle and it does happen, you know what they do? If they give you a miracle, they empty out your zechuyot. Be careful when you ask for a miracle. Because you ask for a miracle and they take all the zechuyot that you have. So what do? You ask for anes b'derech hateva, which is what? Don't clean me out from a zechuyot. Give me a miracle that looks like it came by the way of nature. And by the way, we're in the month of Kislev, known as the month of miracles, Chodesh HaNisim, which Chazal tell us this is the month that you can actually ask for a miracle and you don't have to say b'derech hateva. You don't have to be scared that it's going to be lenakot zechuyot. This is the month where you can ask for an open miracle and it's okay because it's the month of Nisim. By the way, just a little footnote for anybody who still wants to get plugged into the energy of the month. Leah, how does she do chesed with Rachel Imenu? She makes a din. She says, there's no way that my sister's going to have less than the shfachot. I'm going to pray that the pregnancy in my belly, now it's going to be a girl, not a boy. And who is the baby? Dinah. Why is she called Dinah? Because she did din. So by the way, Dinah was supposed to be a boy. Who did Rachel Imenu get pregnant with? Yosef. Yosef, did you notice that he had a tendency to curl his hair? Who curls his hair? Girls. A little bit of a residue in that spiritual, swap. He's like, they said that he used to beautify himself, right? Dinah, she was assaulted by Shechem. Do you know what everybody over 18 over here? You know what the Midrash says? That Shechem, Einauta. You know what's Einauta? He didn't do it the natural way. And you know, the people from Shechem, these are not regular people. They liked all the ta'avot of the world. And it says that he never saw somebody that was feminine and masculine at the same time. And that was like something that caught his attention. That's why he wanted it so bad. Why? Because she had a little bit of that swap. A little bit of the man, a little bit of the girl. They both had a little bit of a residue left over. We know that for the girls, it's a segula to put a hey in their name. It's good for Priya Verivya, it's good for Shidduchim. Yosef, what did we add to his name? Right? What does the Pasuk in Tehillim say? Edut be Yehosef Samo. They put the hey over there also. And Yosef had a swap. The pregnancy of Dinah was supposed to be a male. And later on in the story, if you just plug in what happened, you can see that it actually makes sense. When you look now at not just Dinah, Dinah. No, I'm sorry, Leah. Leah was mevater on her seventh boy in order to do what? In order to be, so her sister doesn't get embarrassed. You know, Chazal tell us, it's like one of these things that you hear and like, Baba Metzia on the 59th page says, Noach lo la'adam she'apil atzmo lakivshan ha'esh ve'al yalbin panav chavro berabim. Meaning what? It's worth it for a person to jump into a burning furnace and not to embarrass his friend in public. Let's just stop and recap very quickly and see if we could bring this into our regular life. Do you understand that the Geula is coming because of one person's vitur? Because Rachel Imenu chose not to embarrass another person. And even though it was a struggle for her from every single day of her life, because of her Mashiach is coming. So imagine that Mashiach moment that you need in your life. How do you activate it? How do I get the struggle that I'm dealing with? Where's my wife? Where's my children? Where's my parnasa? Where's my zivug? Where's my happiness? Where is it? I don't know. Try the Rachel formula. Do vitur. Maybe you'll get your salvation. And if enough of us do vitur, you know what we can bring? Mashiach. Bechesed berachamim. The better way. With mercy and kindness. Look what vitur does. Try it once this month. One time. Let go. With your wife. Let go with your children. Let go at work. Let go with yourself. Don't be makpid. Look what happens. One lesson. So great is that lesson, it has the power to bring Mashiach. That's number one. Number two, we always talk about brotherly love, brotherly love, brotherly love. Look at his sisterly love. Look at his sisterly love. Look how Benot Israel are able to also forego for one another. And from what I understand, it's harder for a woman to forego than it is for men. You know why? Because women never forget, right? Women never forget. We're like guys, we're ready to press delete, like that, like that thing that, deletes everything and we move forward, right? Did you ever get too deep into a fight and all you want to say, let's just delete, let's make it disappear and move on? She's like, no. We still have things to deal with from 1987, 1989, 1994, 1996. Before we get to 2023, I'm going to lead you up to it, right? We want it to be deleted. They have, so meaning for them, it's more difficult to be mevater. Look at the sisterly love. Also, look at the importance that a woman like Rachel says that she's willing to go. She's willing to be mevater again on any ability to get pregnant and to have a child and to be part of the progenitor of the 12 tribes in order to bring what? The Torah learner into this world. Issachar. These are different things. These are everyday things. Like, how important is a Torah learner for you? How much do you respect the guy that was just here for an hour, opened up the Gemara and went here? Now he's home just like being a regular guy. You know how much respect we have to give to Torah learners? You know how much respect we have to give to regular people that are mevater for their brothers, their sisters, or just for other people, or for just being a simple Jew? As they say, liot Yehudi pashut, zelo pashut. To be a simple Jew is not that easy. It's not that simple. I was hoping the Rav would be here by now. But since he's not, I'll give you one more nugget. One of the things that I like to do on Motzei Shabbat is I like to read the whole parasha to see if something is going to pop up. A pasuk comes up, and that's like my food for the week. I can look in Rashi, I can look in all these places, and it keeps me going. Like it's like a treasure find. Because you know, like sometimes you say, "Oh, I know the parsha. This is the parsha where 𝐸SAV wants to kill Yaakov. Oh, this is the parsha where Shimon and Levi kill Shechem." You know what, Shimon and Levi. Okay. Who were the first? I mean, the question I already gave you the answer, but let's see. Who were the first Jews to do bar mitzvah? Bar mitzvah, 13 years old. Shimon and Levi. I told you, I gave you the answer beforehand. Why were they? Look at Rashi when it says that they went to kill Shechem. It gives us like an important piece of information. There were 13. By the way, how can they both be 13? How can they both be 13? And why is it so important that we know that they're 13? So it's very interesting if you want to understand a little bit about Leah. She was barren for 2 years, and then she had a baby every 7 months. Every 7 months she would have a child. So she actually had Shimon and Levi in a period of 1 year. So there was a year where they were both 13. What's so important about 13? So 13, we know it's the time when we give the Yetzer Tov, meaning we're born with Yetzer Hara, and Yetzer Tov comes in at the age of 13. Okay. And it's a big deal. We make a big deal out of it. Why? Because apparently, what happens at 13 is we're able to decide or decipher between what's good and what's bad. At the age of 13, you have sort of the license, the approval to choose on your own between good and bad. As things start to count for you in the Shamayim. So why is this important in the story of Shimon, Levi, and them killing the 24,000 people in Shechem? Because when they heard that Shechem mistreated their sister, you know what they said? That's wrong. That's not right. And what they say? I have to wrong the right. I have to right the wrong. At 13, they knew that something was wrong, and they took it upon themselves to go and fix the problem. And that's why they went at the age of 13, specifically, to go and stand up for their sister. You know, the whole concept of bar mitzvah also, where do we get this whole thing of doing a party for a bar mitzvah? So there's a midrash, there's a famous midrash that says, you know, when it says 𝐈𝐬𝐫𝐚𝐿, what's 𝐈𝐬𝐫𝐚𝐿? 𝐈𝐬𝐫𝐚𝐿, this is when Abraham had the party for Yitzchak. They said that he was what? Like 2 years old, right? He says, no, look at the word 𝐈𝐬𝐫𝐚𝐿, cut it into two. When do you do a party? You do a party when he's Yud Gimel, and you do a party when he's Mal. Mal is when you circumcise, and you do a party when it's Yud Gimel. Something that you should know about us as Jews. When we do a mitzvah, especially the first time out of joy and happiness, it gets embedded into our DNA, and it gets continued from generations to generations, where people are happy to do that mitzvah. I'm going to give you several examples. Avraham Avinu was so happy to do the Brit Milah Name me a person who doesn't circumcise their child. Anybody? I'm not talking about the latest trend in Israel of how they're trying to go against it. Let's not talk politics. But is there a Jew that doesn't circumcise his child? Doesn't exist. You know why? The mitzvah was done out of joy and happiness. And and because it was done in joy and happiness, it's embedded into our DNA. And every single Jew has this burning desire to perform that mitzvah, whether they're secular or religious. We're going to do Chanukah. Chanukah. Did you notice that this is like the one holiday where all the Jews come out of the woodwork? Reform, conservative, secular, chiloni, religious. Everybody comes out. Why? Because it's such an easy mitzvah, right? You light the candle, it's over. You did the mitzvah. But you have to understand that mitzvah, the reason why every single Jew loves to do it, is because it was the first time that it was done with a tremendous amount of joy. The Hashmonaim, when they lit that candle after that victory, it was such a simcha. It was embedded in our DNA, and every mitzvah that we do with simcha, everything we do in simcha, it stays in all our generations. By the way, did you know that Chanukah, I'm going off on a tangent, but I got to give this to you. Did you know that Chanukah is the last stop in the Teshuvah season? Did you know that? Look how, the last stop in the Teshuvah season. Why? So the rabbis would like to tell us, start in Tammuz. Zman Teshuvah memashmesh v'magia. Tammuz is here. Then Av, the month of Av, Elul ba. Get ready, Elul is coming. Then we get into Elul. What's Elul? This is the time of Slicha v'Rachamim, the Slichot v'Rachamim. This is the time for Teshuvah. And we get into the whole of going to Selichot and doing our soul searching. Then comes Yom Adin, which is Rosh Hashanah, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. That's when we really apply ourselves, because that 10-day envelope is an incredible time for Kaparat Avonot. And then we have Yom Kippur. The day itself atones. And then Chazal tell us, and if you didn't do all your work then, what do we have? Sukkot. If not, Hoshana Rabbah. The Pitkat Avah, that's the last one. But for those that didn't do Teshuvah in Elul, for those that showed up for Yom Kippur just to hear the shofar in the last minute and they were back in their car back home, and for the ones that didn't do any soul searching, and the ones that didn't improve themselves for the upcoming year, and there's a din in the Shamayim. How do you get that din off that person's head? He just woke up now. He came to Surfside. He got excited. He heard the opener for Rabbi Sharone Abergel. And he says, wow, this guy, I want to be religious now. Right? What do? You do Teshuvah. Now. Why? Because it says in Tehillim, Tashuv Enosh Ad Daka. What's Tashuv Enosh Ad Daka? First of all, Enosh, there's three different types of men, three types of descriptions that are considered, that the Torah brings about people. There's an Adam, there's an Ish, and there's an Enosh. Enosh is the lowest form of a guy. The guy is an Enosh, right? So Tashuv Enosh, the lowest guy that doesn't do Teshuvah, Ad, until when? Daka. What's Daka? Dalet is 4, Chaf is 20, Aleph is 1, altogether 25. Tashuv Enosh, that low-level guy that doesn't Teshuvah, Ad Daka, until the 25th of Kislev, which is Chanukah. That's when he comes back. Now, watch how unbelievable Hashem is. How easy is that? What does Hashem do? Hashem says, look, I know you didn't do teshuvah. I know you're not going to bang on your chest at 6 o'clock in the morning in nets to say you're sorry. I have to create now something that all the Jews come out of the woodwork. Religious, not religious, secular, chiloni, just please, one mitzvah, do so I can get you off the Teshuvah season. It's the last stop. And that's why every Jew comes and lights in Chanukah. Why? Hashem makes it easy. Please, Teshuvah Enosh Ad Daka, before I close the Teshuvah season, light the Chanukah candle so I can get you out of your din already. That's how much Hashem loves us. Teshuvah Enosh Ad Daka. Chazaku Baruch usually means get out of here. You're done. If you're done, you're done. We'll sit in silence. You want me to continue or no? Yeah? Okay. Because otherwise we'll sit in silence and then people will leave. So, wow, I got the big guns now. Okay. Okay. They finally meet. Esav meets Yaakov, and he tells him, so, yeah, I give it to you. It says, Perek Lamed Gimel Pasuk Tet. It says like this. So, what happens? Yaakov teaches us in this week's parasha how to deal with the Gentiles, how to deal with Edom, how to deal with Esav. What do? Remember, you have to have a different formula for them. What? Give them gifts, bribe them. That's what he says here. We see it. This parasha, the famous parasha that people before they go to Laarets, thank you so much, they read it in order to know how to deal with the people that they're going with. But we see over here, Yaakov Avinu took a bunch of camels, sheep, cows, and he spread it out, meaning a small gift, a big gift, a large gift. He had a mahalach over there. Finally, they see each other, and it's so Yaakov tells him, here, take all these presents. Esav tells him, Vayomer Esav, yesh li rav. Achi hiya lecha asher lach. He says, no, I got plenty. Whatever is yours is yours. It's so strange. Esav is all about money. Esav is all about having more. All of a sudden he says, no, I'm good. He says, you know why I'm good? He says, look, last time I lost my first birthright for a cup of soup, right? It says, not only that, my zivug of Leah was supposed to be, now he took it. Every time I deal with this guy, I lose. Now he's going to give me something, for sure I'm losing something. Leave me alone. I don't want to deal with him. He says, yesh li rav. Okay, stop. I don't need any more. Whatever is yours, which is so strange. But b'siyata d'shmaya, a few years ago, I was looking a little bit in depth into the letters, and Edom, Esav, they have a rabbi. Who's the rabbi of the Christians? Huh? No, the original one. Yoshka, right? So he says, Vayomer Esav yesh li rav. Esav says, no, you know what? I have a rabbi. Yoshka was a rabbi, right? If you take a look at the word Vayomer Esav yesh li rav, if you look at the vav of Esav, take the vav, put it on top, right? And take the word yeshli, just yesh, yud shin. You got the yud shin and vav, yeshu. Vayomer Esav yeshli rav, yeshu is right there. It's like one of those Bible codes. Okay. It says, Yavorna Adoni lefne avdo, vani et nahala leiti, לרגל המלאכה אשר לפניי ולרגל הילדים עד אשר אבוא אל אדוני שעירה. So this is life advice for people with children at home. We have a melacha. We have work. We have to raise our children. How do you raise your children? The pasuk reveals it to us. Vani et nahala. I'm going to manage myself. How? Iti. Slow. Slow and steady wins the race. You never want to move very, very fast in spirituality. You never want to put too much on your children. You never want to put too much on your wife. What you want to do when you want to move up in spirituality, vani et nahela. You know how I manage my household? Iti. Slow and steady wins the race. How? Leregel ha-melacha. I know there's melacha. I know that there's work. And I know that I want to finish the work. But you know how you finish the work? Slow and steady wins the race. It says, and we see that everything in a Jewish household is about the children. Ulregel hayeladim. What's regel hayeladim? That basically, when he was talking to Esav, They could have now, they made up, right? Let's go open up a business, right? Let's go buy real estate, right? Let's go be tzaddik, let's go be havuta, let's learn together. Yaakov says, no, I finally squashed my evil twin brother that wants to kill me. Whew, what a load off. What's my focus now? My children. Always children. Always family. It's always the children. In a Jewish household, it's always the children. And how do we do it? Slow and steady wins the race. Le'iti leregel hamelacha. By the way, there's one thing that I think I'm going to finish with this. We're in a war. We're in a war. We're still in a war. The way that it started, for those of you who see it like this or not see it like this, it's a lens. Put a lens on and see it this way. We were divided more than we've ever been divided before in our lives. If you remember, right before the holiday season, it was absolutely disgusting in Israel. The demonstrations on the street, they were asking for a two-state solution. Not with the Arabs, with the Jews. Two-state solution within Israel. No, the Cheloni, the Dati, I don't want to do with you, the reform, the justice. We were at each other's throat. We were completely split as a nation. So much that the court system got into the religion, right? You can have a mechitza in Sukkot. You can't have a mechitza, outdoor minyan, no outdoor minyan. On Yom Kippur, like 70 years ago, the Nazis banged on the door saying, no, Jews, get out. There's no praying over here, right? This year was Jews knocking on the synagogue door saying, no, you can't pray in here. There's no praying here. It was scary to see that. And you didn't know, like it was, spiraling down, getting worse and worse every day. And then remember Simchat Torah? I'll tell you how Simchat Torah was in Hollywood, in Rabbi Sharone Shul, Rabbi David Chai. I'm there with my chavruta, 7 o'clock in the morning. We're learning our Baba Kama, and we're like, man, Olam Haba, the world is delicious. Look at this. Simchat Torah, 51 days. We just finished doing the Teshuvah season. This is so good. We're learning, we're on an all-time high, the way that you should feel after 51-day Teshuvah process. All of a sudden, a friend of mine comes in and he says, a lady just pulled me over on the side of the road and told me, you're Jewish, right? She says, yeah. She says, you're being attacked right now. There's a war in Israel. And she walked away and he came in and gave us the news. Hashem Yirachem is your first reaction. You go back to Baba Kama. Then the Israelis start trickling. The Israelis, what happened to the Israelis? Their phones started to blow up. All of a sudden, their phones are like going off and off and off and off. And it's Chag. Their family knows not to call. But what's happening? They're getting phone calls. Some of them broke the Chag. Because it doesn't make sense that Ima calls 10 times in a row on Simchat Torah and Shabbat. And what happens? They get the news. One of my friends, his mother, was saying, Dvir, come home and save me. Could you imagine? He's in Hollywood. Come home and save me. They're knocking on the door. So, very, very rough. Now, not only that, we were split on Simchat Torah. What do? It's our graduation. We get our diploma. We did 51 days. We're dancing with the Torah. We've been waiting for this. I worked hard for this. I'm ready to celebrate Simchat Torah. But half the shul's in tears because of what's happening. How do you manage that emotion? How do you manage that moment? It was very difficult. Very strange Chag. And everybody couldn't wait to just go home and turn on their iPhone to see the images, to get the news, to get the details. And then you see, you get a little bit more, and you don't know how to process it because you can't. So you wait for rabbis to process it, right? You wait to see some Torah to take a look at the ingredients of the story and get back to us. And it seems that all of them, or most of them, came back and said, it's the coming of Mashiach. The Torah says that Milchemet Gog uMagog starts in Sukkot, Tchiyat HaMetim is going to be in Pesach, and this is a big sign of it. And why is it? Because we angered God. How did we anger God? Because they got into the religion. They wanted mixed Simchat Torah. They wanted to stop. They wanted to stop Yom Kippur praying. They wanted, and not only that, on Shabbat of Simchat Torah, what do you have? They're dancing in the middle of a field with a Buddha over there, so it's Avodah Zarah on Shabbat and Simchat Torah, and they're all just putting all the pieces together, and then we saw the graphic imagery, and everybody is lost. And as we're all suffering, because we all know someone, and we also, just as a Jew, to process this, it's a very difficult thing to go through. A day passes, a week passes, 2 weeks passes, a month passes, and here we are. And this is a point that I'm echoing because Rabbi Sharone said this in Boca. I want to share this with you. He says, we thought it was all bad. He says, let me show you the chesed. The rabbi is privy to a lot of special relationships. A lot of people come to the Rav. Some people that are high up in the army came to the Rav, and they came and they showed him some things. They had documents from the terrorists, and the plot that they were successful at, that killed about 1,200 Jews on Simchat Torah, was a failure to them, because the real operation was supposed to happen a week later, with the help of Hezbollah, and they had a goal of 150,000 Jews. And the rabbi said with his own eyes, he saw the list of the synagogues, the times that they give classes, the times that people congregate, the times that people are going to be there, homes, how many people live in the house, do they have a dog, the times that they're there. They had all the details. The Rav was telling us that when they discovered this, they started to look into the details. They couldn't believe of that actually 1,200 is a chesed compared to 150,000 that they wanted. As a matter of fact, another byproduct is we've been failing at one thing for 2 millennia. The second Bet HaMikdash was destroyed because of what? Sinat Chinam. And Sinat Chinam, we've been trying and trying and trying, or maybe not trying, but whatever it is, we're failing. We can't get out of this problem of a Jew hating another Jew, or baseless hatred, or this whole thing of just not being able to connect, or whatever. We know the problem, yet we're not motivated to fix it. Comes the attack a month ago, and all of a sudden, as a nation, we experience something that we've never experienced, or at least we haven't experienced for at least 2,000 years, which is Achdut. Achdut. What's the Achdut? Have you ever seen Am Yisrael so united as one? I've never seen it. As a matter of fact, I have a statistic that I give in almost all my classes up until last month. I stopped giving it. Is that when you look at the numbers, there's 14 million Jews in the world. 20% are religious, Orthodox, affiliated, connected, Shomer Shabbat, Kashrut, whatever you want to call it. 80% are not. And for Mashiach to come, Bechesed V'Rachamim, we have to be what? Together. I used to look at that 80%, I'm like, mission impossible. There's no way. How do we get the other 80 to come around? How do we get this unity? And then you look at the news and what was going on. You're like, there's no way Mashiach is coming. Bechesed v'rachamim. And all of a sudden this tragedy happens. And it says, if Hashem picked us up from the back of the line, put it into the front of the line, Achdut now, all of you. So we have that. We have Achdut now. Remember that. Do you know how Jews used to go to war? When we used to go to war, it was elef lamate, elef lamate. We used to go 1,000 sinless Jews, strong physically, strong spiritually, with no sin and no fear. 1,000 from each tribe. That's who went to war. You know who was behind them? 1,000 learning Torah. Elef lamate, meaning there was 1,000 that were fighting physical war and 1,000 that were fighting spiritual war. My Rav in my shul, Rabbi Sharone, also told me something incredible. He said, "It's told me, Drash, it's elef lamate, elef lamate, elef lamate." There's actually another 1,000. What was the 1,000? The one that would replenish, that would go back and give them food, the weaponry, whatever they were missing. There was another group of 1,000 that were assisting them. And all of a sudden, I had like a mushroom cloud. That's what's happening in Israel. We have the 1,000 that are fighting. We have the 1,000 that are learning. That's us in the diaspora. We're doing the studying part. And how about all those guys giving the sandwiches and the pizzas and that's the other 1,000. So not only do we have the achdut, but when we go to war, we're mimicking the formula, the winning formula of elef lamate, elef lamate, elef lamate. It's happening. It's happening. So we have right now an edge. You know, there's a chance of Mashiach in every generation. This time, it's palpable. It's here. We feel it. We taste it. We see it. If you just look closely, we see we're bringing Mashiach. We're united. We're fighting the war the way we're supposed to. Everybody knows physical war, that's the Israelis in Israel. Spiritual war, that's us in the diaspora. That's what we're here. We're learning right now in order to give them the power that they have over there. And you all know the stories. I'm sure you guys are on social media, the stories of how they say that the Torah is what's saving them. The soldiers, Chilonim, are saying, if it wasn't for the Torah, all these, I don't want to repeat, social media stuff, but they're saying, they're admitting it. And the camaraderie, the unity that we have. Oh, Baruch Hashem. So what's left? What's left is to keep it going. What's left is to keep it going, because you know what we're like? We're like the sevivon. What's a sevivon? When you spin the dreidel, what happens? It runs out of power, right? It spins, it spins, it spins. It's exciting. Oh, Mashiach is coming. Mashiach is coming. And then what happens? It falls. How do we know the sevivon is connected to Mashiach? Nes Gadol Haya Sham Nun Gimel Hey Shin is the same letters of Mashiach. Same gematria of Mashiach. So what happens? We spin the dreidel of Mashiach. Mashiach is coming. Dies out. Why? Because we don't keep it going. Meaning what we have right now we have unity, right? Great. Now we're learning. Great. Keep it going. Till when? Till Mashiach comes. If not, what happens? It's the same story. We have the opportunity, we lose out, and we have to wait again. Right now, it's all visible, not just to a few religious people in the Kollel, but in reality, to every single Jew. We're seeing that the time of Mashiach is upon us. What's the point here? To keep the dreidel going. The spinning, the energy of Mashiach, to keep it going when? Until Mashiach comes. We can't let up. We can't let up. First of all, technically, we're the age of Mashiach. That's technically. Secondly, we're in 𝐸𝐵𝑡 Mashiach. Technically, 98% of the prophecies have come true. The time has come to bring Mashiach. And how do you do it? You start with you. Thank you so much for your time.